Chapter 5. Let's go on a picnic. Money-making part. The jewel turtle is composed of rocks and unique ores. In simple terms, I guess it's a living and moving golem. Anyway, though its whole body is that of a sturdy monster, according to my data, it has a weak point, its heart, which is below its stomach. That place is almost bare, and has a thin defense, so it's even possible to beat the turtle with a knife by performing well. However, that would mean turning that huge body over to its abdomen, and what's more, the unique ores it's composed of are very heavy, so it's easily around 4 tons, that's like 2 truckloads. Even if one hypothetically were to turn it over, its weak point or heart is small and hard to see, and tentacles would expand from the jewel turtle's carapace to protect that weak point while raising back the monster's large body. Although it only has soft tentacles in its body, I heard that they are endless because even if they're cut, they regenerate. Other adventurers don't know how to fight it, but I think I can turn it upside down with my strategy. Royce, don't attack it and focus on defense. When an opportunity comes, don't miss it. Sirius. I understand, big brother, Royce. Though in his stead, Leor would probably be able to cut it right in half, it's still impossible for Royce. Besides, he has a mass-produced iron sword. It would certainly break upon striking such a sturdy monster. Therefore, I get him to concentrate on a single blow that he'll aim at the tortoise's weak point. Amelia, follow my instructions while using your magic. First of all, let's make it focus on us. Sirius. Understood, Amelia. We have to avoid close-hand combat as much as possible. First, we'll take some distance to get out of its tentacles' reach, and we'll attack with long-range attacks. So that it doesn't target the attendants, we'll stick its line of sight toward here and we'll lure it to another location. Shoot its face. Sirius. Yes. Airball, Amelia. Amelia condensed some air to make a spell which fires a volleyball-sized sphere. It has the power to crush a rock when it's made with serious efforts, but this time, she launched it in a held-back way. This monster is harder than a rock, so the shot had the sole purpose of attracting its attention here. The wind ball hits the monster's face directly, making the sound of an impact, and the turtle turns its inhuman eyes this way. Next, cut a single one of its tentacles. Sirius. Air slash, Amelia. Kazakiri. The fired blade of air sliced off a tentacle which then dropped to the ground while spurting bodily fluids from the cut section. Though I intended to shoot it with my gun magic at worst, I knew that Amelia's magic could slice it. I don't know if this creature has a sense of pain, but it raised a nonsensical cry. It seemed like it had completely recognized us as its enemies. As I put myself on guard for whatever was coming, the tortoise suddenly bit the ground in front of it by stretching out its neck, and moving its mouth, it started chewing the soil. A long-ranged attack. Everyone, keep its line of fire away from Alina and the others. Sirius. We ran to the direction opposite to Alina and Co. The monster opened its mouth wide toward the place where we took position, and it launched the soil which became a huge lump. But it's not just soil, it's soil that has been hardened by its strong jaws. At this point, it's already a cannonball. For the time being, I'll call it an earth cannonball. Jump. Sirius. At my signal, the whole crew activates boost, and jumps up. The earth cannonball passed under our feet thundering, and looking behind as we landed, there was the tragic scene of trees being scythed in a straight line. This is the type of attack that can't be defended against. Wow. I want to cut something like that someday, Royce. What in the world are you saying? Leaving that aside, Sirius Alma, what should we do, Amelia? Our strategy is the same. From now, I'll be taking some distance, and you two will have to induce this fellow and bring him to me. If you go too far, he'll use the attack from just now, so you have to maintain a position in which the tentacles can almost reach you. Think you can do it, Sirius? Please leave it to me, Amelia. I can do it. Big sister can cut the tentacles with her wind, so I can cut them too. I'll show you I can do it, Royce. With the reassuring words of the two, I parted from the monster and went to an uphill location. although the slope is unsatisfactory, being at an angle of roughly 20 degrees. I guess it's adequate since there is a possibility that the tortoise wouldn't be able to come up if the hill were too inclined. I used string to draw a circle on the ground, and I carved the pattern of a magic formation using a liquid I took out. When making a magic formation, drawing and carving isn't enough. For the formation to take effect, it needs to be drawn with holy magic water, which is a mixture of a fluid extracted from a flower named moonlight flower and of a granted special ore that contains mana. Additionally, the pattern needs to be drawn delicately. It requires a lot of time and labor to make. However, it's easy to draw a pattern for beginner magic in order to do things such as setting off a small fire or raising a gentle breeze, and what I'm carving is an earth spell of the beginner level. I finished the engraving after less than a minute. I poured my mana inside to activate it, and a small hole appeared on the ground as I extended both of my hands. I do a little more work and the preparations are complete. Looking at the siblings, they were gradually approaching toward here. The tentacles take just a few minutes to regenerate and make their result. But the siblings either cut them or avoid them while properly continuing to run, walking slowly but surely. They successfully follow the instructions. That's the way. Lure it a little more, then come to my position. Sirius. Yes, Emilia. Wait, big sister, Royce. What are you doing, Sirius? Maybe because she got impatient, Emilia came here almost instantly, and having followed her, the Royce left his position. This is bad. At this distance, the earth cannonball will come. You're coming too fast. Damn, it's too late, Sirius. Emilia. When Emilia noticed and turned around, the monster had already bitten the ground and prepared itself. If he fires toward here and wreaks havoc on the area, the strategy will be ruined. Though it's a sink or swim, maybe I should try to intercept it. I deeply apologize. Emilia. I drifted away too far too. Big sister isn't the only one to blame, Royce. Leave the apologies for later. I'll intercept it, but prepare to dodge in case I fail, Sirius. Why yes, Emilia and Royce. Having scolded the apologetic duo, I focus my palm in the direction of the monster's mouth. I aim for the right moment and an earth cannonball peeps out of the creature's open mouth, to which I simultaneously fire a spell. Launcher, Sirius. Though the magic bullet I shoot is similar to Magnum, the size and the impact of the bullet are different. Upon impact, the baseball-sized bullet blows up on a vast range and can generate a very powerful shock wave. You can think of it as a hand grenade fired by a grenade launcher. And so, just before the earth cannonball gets fired, the launcher spell hits it and explodes. No matter how hard the monster chewed it to strengthen it, the ball's material was still a bunch of soil, so, from the high impact, it burst, it scattered, and only a little soil remained in the monster's mouth. As expected of Sirius-sama, Emilia. Big bro is awesome, Royce. It's not over yet. Prepare for what comes next, Sirius. Maybe in an attempt to put up with the shockwave inside its mouth, the tortoise raised a roar higher than the one from before and it stepped forward. Good, it's approaching again. That will save time. And then, the moment the monster's body finally reached the hole, we made our move. Now, cut all the tentacles, Sirius. At my signal, Emilia released 6 consecutive air slash, slicing all of the creature's tentacles. At the same time, I dash out, I coil my string spell around the monster's neck and I leap over him to his other side. And then, I operate the trap which was set up in the hole I dug. Activate, Sirius. Inside the hole, I have installed an impact spell made of my condensed mana, in a standby state. It will detonate and explode sooner or later if I leave it as is, but I've tied string on it, so I can make the spell explode arbitrarily by using the thread. And now is the best timing for that. As the monster's body became inclined on the uphill slope, I pictured an anti-tank mine, which could decimate the masses of steel that were the tanks in my previous life, while simultaneously detonating my impact. spell right under the creature's neck. By combining that with a full-force back pull of the string coiled around it, the monster's huge body was greatly destabilized and I succeeded at flipping it on its back. A huge thud was generated as if an earthquake had occurred, and the instant the monster's defenseless abdomen appeared in broad daylight, Royce leapt. There Royce. On the perfectly flat spread-out alley, there is a barely protected part dyed in red that Royce has stabbed his sword into using his whole body's weight. However, due to the violent attempts of the monster at getting up, the Royce foothold has become unstable, and the sword has stopped mid-blade without getting to finish entering. He tries to cram it further, but he seems to already be at his limit, attempting not to part from the sword that is clinging to the violently shaking monster. Royce is clenching his teeth and putting up with it. However, the way things are going, he most likely won't be able to hold on to the sword, and he'll leave enough time for the tentacles to regenerate and raise back the tortoise's body. Though I don't want to take his credit, I have to make a fast decision. Royce. Part from the sword, Sirius. But I'll be able to knock it down if I hang on a little more, Royce. Don't get cocky. Just listen up and let go, Sirius. Royce. I jump up right over the monster's head, and having confirmed that Royce has withdrawn, I shoot launcher into the monster's face. Although the monster stiffened for no more than a moment when the impact struck its face, that moment was plenty enough. Aiming at the handle of the sword that has stopped moving, I shoot my magnum spell. The handle was shattered due to the excessive power, but the blade perfectly embedded itself inside the monster's body, which swayed widely. At the end, the jewel turtle greatly stretched out its neck, and with an exhausted groan, it stopped moving. Is it over, Royce? I don't know, Sirius. Amelia, who had run out of magical power and was enduring her fatigue, and Royce, who was gasping for breath, raised their eyes to the monster in blank amazement. And upon my landing nearby, the siblings swarmed toward me. Have you defeated the monster, Amelia? You did it, big brother, Royce. Yeah, I did beat it. However, it's too careless of you two to stand idly by in such a place. What if my attack wasn't able to knock the monster down and it started moving again, Sirius? Though using my search spell, I know for sure that the monster is dead. There are animals out there that can stop their movements and act dead. So there should be monsters that can do that too, and this one has a large body, so it wouldn't be weird for it to take a long delay to restore its vitality. I want the two to become able to determine whether they delivered a sure finishing blow and whether it's alright for them to drop their guard. Amelia, don't you have something to say, Sirius? Yes, I didn't follow your instruction, Amelia. Even if you say that, I'm not any better. I followed you, and I ended up not obeying the order that Sirius-sama yelled at us either, Royce. The siblings' ears and tails are completely hanging down and their faces seem like they are about to cry. I'm sorry for them, but that wasn't what I meant to say. Let me first tell you that I'm not angry because you didn't follow my instruction. Don't misunderstand, Sirius. What? But we, Amelia. Yeah? We didn't follow your orders, Royce. It certainly is bad to not listen to the instructions. However, it would be troublesome for you to not be able to act without following orders. I'll tell you the points I want you two to reflect on in order. I'll start with you, Amelia, but tell me, what did you hear of my order, Sirius? I'd only heard you tell me to come to your position, Amelia. At that time, I told her to lure the monster a little more and then come to my position. She might have caught only the latter half of my words. My way of talking was also slightly at fault. I shall reflect on that. You knew the monster would fire soil if you took too much distance from the monster, right? And yet, you didn't think of questioning what I said and you separated from it, Sirius. Well, I thought that you probably had some plan. It's you we're talking about after all, Amelia. Then, I'll say it clearly. Even I am not perfect. If you feel there is a problem with an instruction, even if it's from me, I want you to stop and think it over, Sirius. She's completely depending on me. That's quite bad. If someone were unlucky enough to fly by a furious dragon, they'd be almost certain to die, but Amelia would gladly attack one if I were to order her to do so, and that's scary. I don't want to make a combat soldier who only obeys to orders. I want her to think for herself and to become independent so that she'll be able to survive. When that time comes, will she come with me? I'll leave that choice to the person herself. It'd be good enough if she could grow greatly and strongly using me as a stepping stone. Well, I won't let myself be stepped on easily though. I know I'm saying complicated things. However, even if you don't understand now, I want you to put that in a corner of your head and remember it. Now, I'll be punishing you, so close your eyes. Serious. Yes, Amelia. She's trembling with her eyes firmly shut. She doesn't have to be that afraid though, does she? For the time being, I conclude by flicking her lightly on her head. Next up is Royce. The matter about you following Amelia is alright, but what did you do after you stabbed your sword, Cyrus? I tried to thrust it further, Royce. That's right, you tried to do so at that time, but no matter how you look at it, you were only able to cling to it, right? Then, why did you try to thrust it, Sirius? I thought I could do it, Royce. That's conceited. Though you've certainly become stronger, there are a lot of fellows who are stronger than you in the world. You should know that well, Sirius. Because of how he gets beaten up by Lior and he knows it's true, even if it's unpleasant. And he nods repeatedly and fervently at that truth. You need to assess quickly what is in the range of your capabilities and what is not. In simpler words, you need to make sure whether you can slice another party or not, Sirius. I've clearly understood, the Royce. This is bad. Isn't this going to infect him with Lior's weirdness? I'll lighten up my wording. Note to self. WTF does this even mean? And if you judge that you can't slice, that you can't knock down another party, then give up and ask the help of others. You weren't fighting by yourself just now, were you, Sirius? No, big sister and you were here, Royce. Exactly. Don't go thinking you can do anything and everything by yourself. You fight your opponents in cooperation and keep on surviving, you'll become even stronger. And then one day, you'll become able to knock down those opponents by yourself, Sirius. Yes, Royce. When you make a mistake, make the best use of it and learn from it. If you permit failure now, you won't fear any challenge, Sirius. I ended by hitting Royce lightly on his head just like his older sister. Sermons are disagreeable for both the scolding side and the scolded one, but things like this are necessary. I'll get done around here this time. But well, although I've been telling you off up to here, you two did well. You fought such a huge demon without flinching. You were very brave, Sirius. For real, Royce? For real. Amelia, the magic you used to cut all those tentacles was splendid, and Royce, your timing in jumping out to the monster after it got turned over was perfect too. You two have become reliably strong, Sirius. We did it. A pat, Royce and Amelia. The gloomy atmosphere from earlier flew away when I patted the siblings as they requested, and they were happily shaking their tails. Well, I've said everything I had to say anyway. Serious, Noelle. As I looked back to the voice calling out to me, Noelle and Dee, who was carrying Elena on his shoulders, were running towards here. Having waved our hands to show that we were safe, we also headed toward the attendants. Are you all right, Elena? When Elena got off Dee's back, she immediately held my shoulders to verify whether I had injuries or not. This strength absolutely can't be thought of as the power of a person in a weak physical condition. I'm unhurt. If I had to say then, these two are, Sirius. You two, show me if you're injured, Elena. I am all right. I'm just a little worn out, Amelia. Me too, Royce. Really? Huh, thank goodness, Elena. Once she obtained peace of mind, she sank down to the ground. Dee and Noelle also asked about our condition. I'm really sorry about always making them worry. Still, now that I look at it again, it's really big, Noelle. Isn't it? Ah, which reminds me, my sword, the Royce. As Noel muttered emotively while touching the jewel turtle which became a quiet corpse, the Royce went toward his sword that was stuck in the monster's abdomen and that he had just recalled. Ah, shit. My sword, the Royce. I forgot I broke a part of the handle with my magic. Moreover, the sword's blade is deep inside the turtle's body, recovering it is completely impossible. Discouraged, the Royce returned while uttering a sigh. Sorry, big brody. The sword I got from you is completely broken, Royce. It's something Dee bought him when he went out to the town, so he was really glad when he received it. Dee patted the head of the downhearted Royce. All that matters is that you three are safe. I'll buy you another one, Dee. Really, Royce? Yes, I'll look for something better. As for the money, Dee. I see. We can get the jewel from earlier, Noel. The two's gaze turned to the jewel turtle, and froze. I can understand that. Because even I'd only noticed it now. The big jewel from before was attached on top of the jewel turtle's carapace, and the jewel turtle is now dead and overturned. Question is, what happened to the top of the shell? Serious-sama. The jewel got crushed, Noel. Calm down, I got it. I'll turn it over now, watch. Serious. There is no heavy machinery such as a crane here, but I have the impact spell that can release a shock similar to a bomb's. And although I took various troublesome measures earlier because the other party was moving, this fellow is no longer moving. If I can deal with it calmly, I'll manage one way or another. For the time being, I install my impact spell on various places on the jewel turtle's body. I'll try to turn it upside down by detonating the shock simultaneously. While working on that, I asked Dee, how do other adventurers defeat jewel turtles? They attack single-mindedly until their attacks surpass the other party's defense. That's all there is to it. There are also some that get too enthusiastic and end up screwing up and breaking the jewel. Naturally, no person was ever seen defeating one in the same way as me, like me, but if there is such a person, I'd like to meet them by all means. After I finished working, I made everyone fall back and I launched my impact spells. Serial consecutive explosive sounds rose like fireworks. In consequence of the explosion's kinetic energy, the jewel turtle's body shook wildly and, with an earth tremor, it finally returned to its original position. Oh Tilda, it's back to how it was before, but how did you do that to such a huge thing? You're as out of the norm as ever, Serious-sama, Noel. As expected, big brother is incredible, Royce. Whoa, Emilia. Having seemingly no words, Emilia is staring at me in reverence with sparkling eyes. Please don't fall in love, but you already did, didn't you? I climbed the uneven rocky face of the tortoise, and when I brushed off the dirt remaining on the summit, a golden jewel appeared. It hasn't been damaged by the impact, it's just like when I first saw it. Though I had some slight difficulties, I got it at last. I forcibly plucked out each rock on the jewel circumference to enhance its build, and I then descended from the monster's body. Dee, if you don't mind, serious. Leave it to me, Dee. I immediately handed it to Dee and asked him to appraise it. Though that's not his domain of expertise, he has traveled a lot so he can somewhat judge treasures. He flicked it lightly, he looked through it in the sun, and after watching it for a few minutes, Dee returned the jewel back to me while slightly sweating. Although it's an amateurish estimation, this object has a considerable value. It could certainly go for dozens of gold coins and Dee. Dozens of gold coins, Royce and Noel and Emilia. The Beastkins yelled in harmony. Well, it's not a disproportionate reaction. Even if we get the lowest price of 10 gold coins, that's 1,000,000 yen. Earning this much by merely fighting for less than an hour is really good. However, this can only be considered by one who has some level of ability. Amazing, amazing. You'll be able to buy an even bigger and heavier sword, right, Royce? Hey, Royce. Serious-sama will decide on how it will be used, so don't speak selfishly, Emilia. Ah, my sword, the Royce. He was dispirited by Emilia's rebuke. Sorry, Royce, we'll leave the sword for next time. I've already decided on its use. Amelia, Royce, the money we'll get from selling this will be set aside for your entrance fees. Huh? Entrance fees, Royce. So you mean, we can go to school too, Amelia? Before, I've explained to the two the matter about me being driven out of the house and going to school. I thought about entrusting them to the attendants after leaving the house, but they insisted to follow me. They said, with watery eyes, that they'd be live-in employees working in the school's town and that they wanted to be closer to me even if only a little. Beastkins are discriminated against a lot, so I felt anxious, which is why I thought it would be great if I made the two enter school too. The biggest problem was the entrance fee, but this turtle fellow has solved it. The sibling couldn't believe that they'd also go to school, so Elena gently smiled at the two flustered kids. That's right, it's more believable coming for Elena, isn't it? Yes, that's right. It's something I've been speaking of with Sirius Sama for a while now, Elena. Going to school, along with Sirius Sama, Amelia. For real? Even I can go, Royce. You obtained the money by defeating the monster in cooperation with Sirius Sama. And Sirius Sama allowed it, so there is no problem. Go to school with your heads high, Elena. Hooray, Amelia and Royce. Perhaps from feeling real excitement at last, the two were jumping up and down happily while embracing each other. You did it, you two. I'm glad too, Noelle. Noelle intruded too, and the sight of the three who were becoming rumpled while rolling around on the ground was like the comforting sight of pets playing together. After I watched for a while, Dee, who was examining the jewel turtle, approached, stood next to me and came to whisper to my ear. The three beastkins were being noisy in a distant place, so it's probably a talk I wouldn't really want them to hear. I'm very sorry for pouring cold water on your expectations, but I don't think something like this can be sold in a small town. Moreover, it could also become the seed of troubles, Dee. In this world, money exchanges are done by passing cash directly to begin with. There are no methods to make checking accounts, to do bank transfers and so forth with certain trust here. So if he sells this jewel, he'll get dozens of gold coins on the spot. However, depending on the shop, it might not be bought. Anyway, it's an object that would surely become a fortune if a person were to buy it. Thieves and people from the underworld would probably get wind of it and come out of nowhere. The person would have to manage firmly so that the jewel doesn't get taken from them by those people. Though a big store would most likely have a flawless security, small stores can't afford that, so buying things is difficult for them. Another problem is us getting attacked. One would surely be aimed at by those foolish people when carrying dozens of gold coins. It would be okay if the neighborhood weren't aware of the gold and if it weren't seen by anyone, but the fact that the jewel was bought would surely leak out in the town at some point. An amazing jewel appeared. Which shop did it show in? Who brought it there? The information about who it was sold to would circulate. The fact that that person possesses a lot of money would become known and they would be aimed at. If the person acts unskillfully, there is also a possibility that they'd be tailed and that the people aiming at them would intrude in their residence. So though we can get the money, one wrong move and it might seriously become the seed of troubles. We'll think about that situation in time. At worst, we should just give this to the school as a substitute. Sirius. I see. Then, Sirius Sama, you're fine with managing the jewel, right, Dee? That's right, I had better hold on to it. Leaving that aside, Dee, is this one of the precious stones from the jewel turtle? Sirius. You noticed. Please take a look at this, Dee. I swept away the soil sticking to the jewel turtle's surface with my hand, and its skin, seemingly made of stones, appeared. Looking near the stones, there were countless lights being reflected. Some parts were shining in red or blue depending on the position. Could it be that? Are all the colored stones jewels? Sirius. That is so, Dee. Seriously? Well, the book did say that the tortoise can make one rich in a single stroke, didn't it? Guessing from the color, those are rubies and sapphires. In addition, there are emeralds and a great variety of other things. However, not only these are only small beads, but they're also raw ores that haven't been manufactured. I have misgivings about exchanging them for money. Don't they seem like they're too small? I don't have enough experience with stones, D. That's too bad. However, if you search well, there are slightly big ones too. How about this, Sirius? I found a sapphire the size of a little finger at a slightly high point. This could probably be used as an ornament. I think we could get some money if we sell it. This seems good. I'll try and go sell it, D. Oh, I know. D, how about you get someone to manufacture this into Noelle's wedding ring, Sirius? What, D? D exposed an idiotic face he rarely shows. There are probably some jewels left, so use the gold you get from selling those as the manufacturing price. You always do troublesome things, so you should be allowed to receive favors like that, Sirius. Excuse me, D. Since Noelle is pure, blue should match well. Don't you think that the contrast of color between her red hair and a blue ring would give a good vibe, Sirius? It sure would. Wait, no, stop joking, please, D. Joking, you say, Sirius? Though D got unusually angry, he held his tongue upon seeing my serious expression. We looked at each other for a while, and when I deemed the timing right, I handed him the sapphire I was holding. Leave the managing of the rest to me, Sirius. Thank you very much, D. He was hesitant, but he eventually lifted it to his breast pocket. Seeing him, I chuckled inwardly. He has learned well. After that, I assembled the attendants. We examined every nook and cranny of the jewel turtle, and we were able to collect some raw jewels that seemed like they could be exchanged for money even though they were small. It looks like something that one could discover when searching for it. It's likely to sell well even in a small town. Though I never thought that memory-making picnic would turn out like this, I obtained the entrance fees for my 2 disciples, so it proved to be a worthwhile picnic. I carried Alina on my back, and we began walking back home contentedly. The remainder of the year went well for us. However, life is not so sweet. Our last trial was approaching imminently. And so then, half a year later, the situation I feared finally occurred. Elena collapsed again.